Have you done any marketing on Wedding Wire the Knot?
I'll be honest, to anybody that is in the phase that we were in a couple months ago where you're starting to look at doing paid marketing, I strongly discourage using.
Brandon, Kaylin, Lawrence, thank you so much for being here on the Venue RX. I'm really excited to chat with both of you and hear about your venue. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome conversation. Tell me a little bit about, before we get to your origin story, tell me a little bit about your venue, where you guys located, and tell me a little bit about what it's like.
We're located in Chappell Hill, Texas, right outside of Brenham, about 40 minutes from the Cypress area, Houston. And we have like a barn style, you can see back behind us, venue. It kind of had that rustic look, and then we've got the really pretty elegant chandeliers to kind of dress it up a little bit, but it's built to look like a barn. So
it looks like you guys have some crossback chairs. I see some wood crossback chairs in the back there.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good. That's an elevated touch for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. So take me back. I love hearing the origin stories of how venues got started, but just personally for the two of you, take me back to before the venue happened. Like, how did you guys get into the industry? What were you doing before you got into the industry? All the things.
So we, it's kind of, it really happened super fast. So she was teaching at Lamar High School in Houston. She was an ag teacher, teaching FFA to inner city kids. It was a cool gig. But right before COVID hit, right when COVID hit, she started kind of looking to put a foot out the door from doing that. She was looking for an exit, and she had started doing flowers and wedding planning on the side. She's really good at flowers. She was teaching floral design as part of her ag program at Lamar. And so on the side, she was doing that. And so, she was working 100-hour weeks, it seemed like, teaching full time and then trying to squeeze flowers in on the side. So, and I've been in construction pretty much ever since I graduated college. I've been doing construction and started doing some flips for a guy, and we became quick friends. He was hiring me to do all of his flips. He's a real estate investor guy, really just an investor in general. And so me and him were on a 4-hour road trip to go look at a rundown apartment complex that was in the middle of nowhere, and just kind of got to talking. And I mentioned that she didn't want to teach anymore, but I had just really separated from my company that I was working for and started my own construction business. We weren't at a point for her to be able to quit teaching by any means. And he was like, well, how do we do that? I was like, I have no clue. And so just kind of started spitballing. He was like, why don't we build a wedding venue? And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Well, that night he literally started sending me properties. He knew that we wanted to be, she's from this area, she went to Brenham High School. She born and raised in Brenham. He knew we wanted to be in this area. So he just started sending us all these properties. Would this work? Would this work? Would this work? And I'm not kidding. Within a week, we had already looked at 4 or 5 properties and had decided on this one, and we're putting a deposit down on it.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was whirlwind week for us.
Yes.
And yeah, couldn't be more blessed to have met him. And obviously, like I said, we weren't in any position to do this financially. So we have an awesome business partner, and him and his wife are good friends of ours.
Yeah.
We've been super blessed to have them on our side.
So I'm super, super pumped to hear that, because I think that's a type of story that we haven't covered so far. And I was actually just on the phone today with a real estate investor up in Lubbock, and we were looking at a venue, and just those conversations I know can be really interesting, like how you make it work on the finance piece. Brandon, obviously with your construction background, are you the one who spearheaded the construction, or did you bring in GC and the whole thing?
Yeah, it's been me from the get-go. I did hire a builder. He builds equestrian centers, like super high-end barns for, multi-million dollar horse barns for where they do rodeos and stuff. And we knew that that's the look that we wanted to go for. Most of my experience was in finishing out buildings and more residential stuff. And so I didn't have 100% faith in myself to design a barn of this size. And so I did have a builder come in and design the building for us, and they framed it out for us. And then I took over from there and I finished it out. And then I built we have our on-site lodging. I built all that, our house. There's some other buildings on here that we're doing. But yeah, for 99% of it has been me and her. She's the designer. I'm the builder. I learned really early on. I don't have any say in design. We squashed that bug really early on in the process. She tells me what to do and I do it, and it's worked for us ever since.
Hey, that's so cool. That really works. And I feel like the stories that I've heard from venue owners who have that sort of partnership like that are usually really successful, because, you can bring to life the stuff that, you're conceptualizing. So
sure.
That's huge. So tell me a little bit more about the barn. So you, actually, before we get there, so you're with this real estate investor, the real estate guy, he's not necessarily involved in the wedding side of it, but he just he just helped with some of the funding and kind of getting into the deal and how you financed it and things like that, correct?
Correct. But yeah, he has been our financial backer from the get-go. Super, I don't want to call him silent partner, but he's given us full reins on this thing. And so he's been, like I said, we've been blessed to have him. He's given us the freedom financially and with our creativity, basically put the ball in our court and let us run away with it.
That's awesome. Help me understand, and go into this as much as you want. I don't want to press in here too far, but just, we do have, in full transparency, we have people who listen to the show, watch the show, who I think are probably venue owner hopefuls. One day they're like, hey, how do I get into this? So they search, venues, wedding venues, how to start a wedding venue, and maybe one of our videos comes up. So this is really for them, maybe for you guys before you start this, right?
Yeah.
What is there a certain year, after 3 years, you're looking to start turning a profit? Is it in the sort of thing where the first year you want to start making a profit? Like, do you have a projection or an idea around the time frame that you want to, turn into something that, you're building, you're kind of in this construction phase, but then you're going to start making money and take it out the direction you want to go?
Yeah. You want me to?
Yeah. You know more about that than I do.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, obviously, it's kind of a weird, like, we want to take as many bookings as we can early on. And I've seen a few other of your show that are kind of in the same boat as us, where like you want to take as much as you can, but then all of a sudden you realize I probably shouldn't have taken a lot of the ones that I did take, or I shouldn't have given this big of a discount, or whatever. Because you're trying to, you have this huge bill all of a sudden that you have to pay every month, and you have to make it, whether you're, one way or another. And so, I guess to answer your question, we're taking on as much as we can right now, and we're running a big promotion right now. We're trying to get as many bookings as we can to help fund this thing, to get it started. Ideally, our pricing goes up 25% next year. We want to book a wedding a weekend. We don't want to be a wedding factory. We don't want to do 100 weddings a year like some people do. And if they do, that's fine. Right now, it's me and her. We operate this thing. It's just me and her, and she does florals in-house. And there's only so much that me and her can handle. And also, I think, takes away from the bride and groom, but especially if we're trying to run multiple weddings in a weekend. We're trying to push somebody out the door. Hey, you stay on this half of the property until this happens. If somebody books with us, I want them to be here. And we have on-site lodging. We have spaces. We have the chapel separately. We have separate spaces for rehearsal dinner. We want one couple to make a weekend out of it, and that's our end. Right now, we're taking what we can. We're doing some Sunday only weddings or some Friday only weddings right now. But I guess the end goal would be to do a full weekend package for pretty much all of our couples.
Got it. Very cool. That's
the second part of your question. I think it's going to take us, into next year to be able to get to where we're turning a profit.
Okay. Understood. To explain a little bit about the overnights, because I'm curious, that's a really cool piece that you've added. I think even some of the properties that we manage here in California, the ones that have the overnight accommodations piece are the ones that are the best, because you get couples that want to come in and make an experience out of it. So tell me a little bit about how your thought process behind making those and how you brought that on.
Yeah, I mean, it's setting our market is fairly small. I mean, we're close to Houston. We're kind of competing with Houston, but we kind of have our own little market out here. It's called the Brazos Valley, Brenham, College Station, and all the surrounding areas around there. It's kind of turning into what like Dripping Springs is a little bit. I don't know if you're familiar with the Texas wedding market, but all just started exploding with wedding venues, and it just kind of becomes a wedding hub. And slowly, I think we're kind of getting in on the ground floor of that in our area. There's a lot of wedding venues popping up, and a lot of people are starting. And I think it's because of our proximity to Houston. People want to get
Austin.
They want to get away from the big city stuff, and they want to get married out in the country, or they want to get married. They want a different feel than what they're getting in Houston, I guess. And so a lot of our competitors don't have on-site lodging. Some of them do, but we've noticed that the ones that do, definitely they're booked out, and their on-site lodging is always booked out. People are always asking us about on-site lodging. That's one of the first questions people ask if they haven't really looked into us very much. But yeah, it's a huge thing. It sets us apart from everybody else, especially the ones that don't have on-site lodging, because they want to come, whether they're 30 minutes away or 2 hours away. They want to come enjoy their wedding and stay on the property and not have to worry about people drinking and driving home, or just making a weekend out of it just because.
That sounds like it really fits in well with your plan of not really wanting to be a wedding factory and do 100+ weddings a year. You can have more of a curated experience with, like you said, a wedding weekend. Come in Friday.
We designed our lodge so they can have their reception or their rehearsal dinner. In our lodge. We can hold up to 80 people in there. So it's a fairly good size. And so it kind of helps with that whole weekend experience. They can do their rehearsal here, and then they can go have their rehearsal dinner. Everybody's on site, stays the night on site. We have a honeymoon cabin that, they can stay in as well. So it kind of just has, everybody's here and somebody's not looking for somebody the morning of the wedding. So
that's awesome. That's a really cool layout. Did you know going into this that that's what you wanted to do, or did you add that on kind of somewhere in construction and when you realized, hey, we need to add on some of these overnight things?
Yeah, I mean, we could kind of balance back and forth between calling it the hotel, or our marketing firm wants us to call it a lodge because that sounds better. So if I say hotel, I'm going to go back and forth because we've called it a hotel for 2 years and now they want us to call it a lodge. We've always wanted on-site lodging. I think the concept of it has changed pretty dramatically over time. I mean, we've kind of shuffled back and forth from doing a bunch of separate small cottages versus doing one big building. And I think just from a financial standpoint, it made more sense to build one building. It was a lot cheaper to do it. We started building this thing in the middle of COVID. I mean, literally couldn't have picked a worse time to start. And so we had to make some adjustments to that, but it honestly turned into a much better setup than we initially intended it for it to. Because once it got finished, we realized we have a huge space, and I don't know if you can see how this building's set up. Our lodge is set up similar to it, where it's huge. There's a huge open space downstairs, and then the rooms, like we have rooms upstairs on both sides, and then one side downstairs, but there's just a huge reception room. And we've realized since we started marketing the lodge that people want to come use that for smaller gatherings, birthday parties or bridal showers and what have you, anything for 80 guests or below. And so it turned into a much better setup than it would have been if we had done separate buildings. So yeah, blessing in disguise there. Yeah.
And then y'all have a lake or a pond or what? I saw a body of water there, I think, on some of the images.
Yeah, so we have 3 ponds on the property. One of them is designed. We have Highland cattle. If you're familiar, they're the ones at Hobby Lobby. The
really hairy one,
the really furry cows that everybody falls in love with. We have a fold or herd of those, and so we have one pond that's specifically designated for them. And then we have 2 other ones on the property, one right in front of the reception hall where a lot. You'll see a lot of pictures on our social media in front of that pond. It's a big, real pretty pond with our outdoor ceremony in front of it.
In terms of how you started marketing this, because you said you started construction in the middle of COVID. When was construction fully done, or is it you're still wrapping some things up?
We're still wrapping a few things up. We're like, 90% done with everything. There's like little tiny things that need to be done with all the buildings. But I mean, we've hosted a couple events in the barn, and then our chapel we're working on getting the pews finished. So we have that. And then the lodge still needs the kitchen put in. But other than that, like, we're close to wrapping up. But
we're done enough to be able to host, and people will never know that we're not done.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what our vision is for things. But yeah, there's still a few things left to do. But so, I mean, we started this thing, I think we bought the property in March of 21. And then, so I would say just in the past month or so, we've gotten to where we can at least tell people it's finished, whether it's never going to be 100%. We're always going to be making changes. So it's done. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's done right now.
When you at this point, I guess, so when you're done, how many weddings do you have booked up till this point? Like, how many did you book before you got started hosting?
Yeah, we did a lot. So we've already hosted three events out here. So some of those, bless their heart, they booked with us when this thing was just framed. I mean, it didn't have a roof on it. I mean, it was just walls. I mean, uncovered walls. And so yeah, we started doing tours really early on in the process because we knew what that monthly note was going to look like. We knew we were going to have to start paying for it as soon as we got done. And I mean, so yeah, we've been pretty transparent with everybody. Every time somebody messaged us about coming and doing a tour, like, hey, we're 40% done, or hey, we're 75% done, or whatever, just to kind of get. And of course, most of these tours happened last year during our heavy rain season. I don't know why it worked out like that. It seemed like every time somebody wanted to come tour, it rained like crazy the day before. And so I would have to like message people the last minute, hey, bring some rain boots or something. I'd be laying down 2x4 so we could walk from one building to the next and stuff. But no, it's hard, and you have to discount it for people because they don't know what it's going to look like. They're just gambling on us, and they're taking a leap of faith with us and what we say is going to happen, but they don't know for sure. It's hard. So, but all the ones that we have right now, which I think is about 18, were toured before we were 100% complete.
Yeah.
So I want to pause on this for a second because I think this is huge. I've noticed a definite difference of opinion between folks who have said, hey, we're going to wait till we're completely done because we don't want to do hard hat tours. We don't want to get in and like show the property before it's done because we want it to look, perfect before we show people. And then there's other people that have busted out renderings, and said, hey, this is roughly what it's going to look like. Are you guys willing to jump in here? Maybe even for a discount, like you said, Brandon. Going back, if you were to like press the reset button and need to do it all over again, would you still do those tours and still do some of the sales before you guys officially opened, or would you start the tours the moment you opened?
No, 100%. We do it. We do it the same way.
Yep.
Start touring it as soon as you can. I mean, we got the bookings, and everybody that are the 3 events that we've done so far has been even beyond their meeting their expectations on it. So,
and
which has been great feedback.
We've had a couple of the couples come back since we're closer to being done. Like we had one come back, a couple weeks ago that came when it was literally framed, and that was it. There weren't walls, there weren't anything. And they were just like in awe. They said it looked exactly how we described it, but it was better because they could see it, they could experience everything. And so, I mean, it's turned out good, but we would definitely.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. My only advice from that is don't overpromise anybody. Yeah. If you're giving tours before it's done, you better be 100% sure you're going to do the things you're going to say you're going to do, because it's the most important day of their life that they're betting on you for, and if you don't meet their expectations, that's only going to reflect negatively on your business. So we made sure, and again, didn't overpromise, but then also throughout the building process, we tried to raise the stakes every phase of construction. We overbuilt the heck out of this thing. And so to us, it was a no-brainer because we both knew what the end result was going to be, and we knew that it would meet expectations. But I guess if you're on the fence with that, then maybe it's better to wait. But to us, I would say 100% we do it the same way again.
Yeah, you had such an involvement. I mean, you have an involvement in it, not just like decision making, but like it's your hands that are putting a lot of it together. So that's really neat.
Yeah.
Moving on to what you're doing to get the word out about the property in terms of marketing and things like that. What does that look like for you guys? I know if you started touring pretty early on, what did your earliest marketing efforts look like, and then kind of where have they evolved to now?
Oh man, it's been pretty organic. It's been a lot of word of mouth. Her family has a huge footprint in this community, and so there's a lot of, I don't know the best way to describe it. People don't like people that aren't from here coming in and doing big things, and so it's been a big help with her background. I've been in the community for 15 years, ever since me and her met. She was born and raised here. One of the local schools here is named after her grandpa. So that people love that about it. And so the community has been super supportive of us. Facebook has been our biggest marketing channel, and Facebook and Instagram. We haven't done a lot other than that. Obviously, we've done some paid marketing ads on Facebook. But other than that, it's really been Facebook and Instagram. Our website has taken forever to get launched. I think it's finally going to happen either this week or next week. That's going to be huge for us in terms of SEO, and people that aren't finding us on Facebook, they'll be able to find us pretty easily online. But yeah, it's pretty much just been Facebook, word of mouth. We hosted a concert out here last weekend to try to get as many local people as we could on the property to see what we're doing.
We've done a couple of style shoots to kind of get local vendors posting about us on their pages as well. We've done 4 of those? 4 style shoots. We've done had some photographers come out and do family pictures out here and then tag us. Just anything that we can do to get people out here has kind of been the biggest thing. We did a vendor shopping market. We had a bunch of local vendors come out and do like a shopping thing, and we showed off the venue and kind of made a fun night of that. And so
yeah, so that's been our biggest goal, is just getting as many people here as we, and pictures, the pictures are great. We have great photographers, but at the same time, pictures don't do it justice, at least from our perspective. Everybody that steps foot on this place loves it. And so our goal from day one has been just figure out a way to get people here. Like we did a concert last weekend. We didn't make any money off of it. We broke even, but to us, it was a success because we got 300 people here that had never seen the property before. And so if one of those people goes out and sells a wedding for us, then it was all worth it. So, and I think that'll happen. And then some.
Yeah. You just basically put your name, the name of the property in the mouths of so many different people. And so ideally, yeah, that's really creative. I love that, that market idea. That's pretty neat. Cause then again, you get people coming out who maybe normally wouldn't come out to a wedding venue per se, but they have relatives, they have family members. So that,
Yep.
Have you done any marketing on wedding directories? You know, there's all the different ones, Wedding Wire, The Knot.
Yeah, so we're in Wedding Wire and The Knot. We did the wedding. We're in the Wedding Pro program. We're in a social media program called Weddings in Houston, which they have hundreds of thousands of followers. That's been a pretty good one for us.
Party Slate.
We just got on Party Slate. We had a lot. I've been hesitant because we're doing a lot of paid marketing. Those are our 3 paid marketings. I say a lot. It's a lot of money. I mean, doing paid marketing is not cheap. I think it's worth it. Wedding Wire and The Knot has not been good to us. I'll be honest, to anybody that is in the phase that we were in a couple months ago where you're starting to look at doing paid marketing, I strongly discourage using The Knot and the Wedding Wire, and maybe we're the only ones, but we've heard from a lot of other people in the industry that they're throwing fake leads, and I can attest. I mean, my phone blows up constantly from those 2 sites, and I have vetted every lead that we've gotten from them, and I can count on one hand how many of them have been legitimate leads. It's been frustrating. So sorry to go on a tangent there, but I definitely strongly discourage using those two sites. Weddings in Houston and Party Slate are both local Texas-based paid marketing programs. They're very good about backing us and getting our name out there and getting us legitimate leads. They actually do qualify leads for us, and so those two have been great. And so again,
and we just started both of those.
We've already seen some results from those. I definitely think paid marketing is a great route to go. I don't see how people can get too many leads without doing some sort of paid marketing. It's just don't jump on the first one that you find like I did.
Yeah, but it's tough to know, and especially as a new venue, you're kind of like you want to give yourself every opportunity you can to be successful. So I think a lot of people probably go through that, and it's interesting. Even with that, there's I think a couple schools of thought. One is just like, hey, even one lead, depending on the cost, of course, but like even one lead is good. It's another experience that someone has. You get the pictures back from that. It's just kind of building your portfolio, but then at the same time, a lot of it's probably all those phone calls that you're getting and all of the work that it takes to find that one or two needle in a haystack. It might just be better to host another concert or something like that.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Those two, Wedding Wire and The Knot. We've held them for 4 months and not one lead has panned out. And so definitely lost a lot of money down that avenue. The other one's not near as expensive, and I think they'll be a little more fruitful as well, but time will tell on that.
And I can just tell, like, especially with Weddings in Houston, like anytime we post something, they're sharing it to their social media. They're liking it. They're commenting on it. So people see it if they follow them because they're, helping us, but then also like putting it on their social media and stuff like that. Like it's a completely different experience than what we had with The Knot and Wedding Wire.
Totally. And that part definitely sounds, I've heard that quite a few times, even here on the show. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's move to the kind of more the operations side. So I'm curious, when folks book your space, what are they getting? Do you guys have packages? Is it all inclusive? Is it blank canvas? Give me a bit of a feel for what it is like if you're going to get married there.
Okay. So we have a couple of different options. We do have an all-inclusive package where we have, all the vendors and everything like that. We're pretty much giving everybody options when they come here based on what they're wanting, because we do have your local people that are used to going and getting married at the local, dance hall, fire hall, whatever. And they're wanting that prettier venue look, but they're still stuck on, I want to bring my own this and this and this and whatever. And that's fine. But then, like I said, we do have our all-inclusive packages where we can do everything. I've been coordinating for 5 years now, if not longer than that. So I am the coordinator. I have one other person that works with me as well that coordinates. So that's included. All of our tables and chairs are included, which I know some venues you pay extra for tables and chairs and all of that. And then I give them my vendor list. They, it kind of helps them with choosing vendors, but they're not stuck on using our vendors, because I know that also, just from my experience, it has turned people away from venues. It's really helped that I've been in this and done this for so long that I've kind of taken bits and pieces that I've learned from working with other venues and working with different brides. And we've kind of just done, not really packages, but just given the options to do whatever to kind of meet everybody's needs. And I think that's really helped us.
Yeah. So it's like she said, there's two ways. We're gonna end up changing some of these policies. I can almost guarantee we're gonna get kicked, or something's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna hire an aunt to do the catering, and the food's gonna taste like crap, and we're gonna get a bad review online, and then we're gonna be like, okay, hold on, we need to step back and reassess what we're doing here. But for now, we've seen so many brides come in here and be, The number one question we have is what's our alcohol policy as far as bringing in their own alcohol, which we were on the fence about getting our liquor license, and we started the process. And I think we're at a point right now where we decided we're not going to get our liquor license because it's turning people away from us strictly because they don't want to pay the markup that they're going to have to pay by having to purchase alcohol through us with our liquor license, which I totally understand. And when we first started doing it, it was like no brainer. Let's make money off alcohol. Well, then all of a sudden, which I thought every venue did, but we've learned that that's definitely not the case. And I think we built a wedding venue as a business to rent our wedding venue. We didn't build a bar. We're not making money off. We didn't build a restaurant. You know, if somebody wants to bring in their own catering, their own beer, their own whatever, who am I to stand in their way of that? They can use our facilities to do whatever they want, as far as I'm concerned. But like I said, until somebody gives me a reason to change that.
And we do have some rules, like they have to be, you know, if they bring in their own alcohol, they have to have a certified bartender. They have to have security. So we're still doing all of the things.
Vendors have to be insured, et cetera. I made the reference of somebody's aunt. That's not going to happen. Where they have to be an insured business that does it. But I don't care who it is until somebody gives me a reason to change that.
Yeah, and you might have someone who has their license, but then they're not, you know, they don't do a great job for whatever reason. Kaylin, I'm curious, you, with your background already in weddings, how much do you feel like how much of a difference did that background make in how you're running the venue right now? Did it feel like apples and oranges, like, you know, both fruit, but totally different experience now owning the venue? Or do you feel like, wow, this is second nature just because you've already had so much experience, you're able just to cross-apply it right away?
I feel like it's almost second nature, like it's almost easier. Because when you're coordinating at somebody else's venue, you have to follow, you know, you're doing your coordinating, you kind of get into a routine, but then you've got to change because a certain venue has certain rules or certain things you have to follow. Where here, it's my place. I do it all the time, the way I want to do it. And then I've trained the girl that I've worked with to do it the same way. And so it's a lot easier to have it here. And so it's like you said, it's just like it's second nature. It makes it a lot easier.
That's awesome. I just wanted to highlight that because I think for anyone listening or watching who dreams of owning a venue one day, but maybe they can't get started, you know.
That's the best way to get started. Like I said, I've been doing this. I mean, I guess you could say I planned our wedding in 17. And then from there, just kind of friends and family. And then it got to where I was doing other people and getting paid for it and coordinating and doing flowers. And so I kind of picked up things which, I mean, helped us design this building. Like there were things that I've seen at other venues that were beautiful, but like you could see the bride walking out of the venue, like the whole walk to the chapel, or just like little things that you don't think about. And that's helped, you know, how we've designed things here and how we run things here. It's, you know, the experience definitely has helped.
Yeah, I would definitely say get some kind of experience in the wedding business. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a full-blown coordinator. Even just me, all I was her muscle carrying stuff into weddings for her and flower and just standing there and watching. Yeah, I picked up all that stuff. You're just involved in a wedding a few times. You start to figure out things you're supposed to do and things
that work and things that don't. Yep.
Yeah. So I definitely we would not have jumped into this thing without the experience. I mean, that's played a huge role in this.
That's great feedback. That's really good feedback. So if anyone's listening, watching, you guys know, got to go work for a venue, work with a coordinator. That's perfect. In terms of, you said it was just you at this point, just the two of you. Do you have plans for the future, bringing on? Well, and then you mentioned you did have an assistant who helps with the planning side.
Yeah.
Like. Do you have plans in the future of getting out of the business, meaning you're not, you know, working weddings and you're hiring a full team to handle venue management, handle setup and tear down and all of that? Or is this something that you see yourselves operating for quite a while?
I think we will probably, because I went from teaching, which is a crazy job. You're running around like crazy. Plus I was doing all the FFA stuff after school. So I was basically a coach. So I went from that to this. I don't think I could ever fully stop doing this. I think if we were to hire someone else on, it would be, we have a son. So, when he gets a little older and starts, getting involved in sports or different things like that, to maybe help with, okay, I can't be here on this day, so you can be here, take up some of the time that we're spending here. But I don't think I could ever fully just let someone else run.
We've been in control of this thing from day one. It'd be hard to hand over reins to anybody else. But even just hiring help, that me and her can handle the majority of the workload when we've proven that so far. There's going to be a point where we're going to burn out of it. I don't see it in the foreseeable future. Yeah. Hopefully that's a little further along when our numbers start to get above that 0 line before we start thinking about hiring anybody else. But we enjoy doing it and we're good at it. And again, it's our business. We put our stamp on it from day one.
Yeah.
I don't see us being able to hand it over too much control over to anybody else. We're a little too type A to hand it over to anybody else.
Yeah. Totally fair. Yeah, I think different people have different reasons or ways of approaching the industry. And sometimes it's like, hey, we're going to get this thing rocking and rolling. And then in about, 2 years, 3 years, we kind of want to start phasing out, put some management in place, something like that. But it sounds like, especially with your connections there in the community and, maybe even the way that local area is exploding in terms of wedding venues. I wanted to actually ask about that. Brandon, I know you mentioned that, you mentioned the Dripping Springs area. I'm familiar with that area, and there are just a ton of venues.
Yeah.
There. But are you concerned at all about competition? Do you see yourself, even maybe with the venues that have popped up in the existing area, do you see any impact from that?
No. There's one venue that's being built right now that I don't know a whole lot about. We really have one big competitor in our area. We love them. She's done a lot of flowers and wedding planning at that venue. We've taken some ideas from them. Used the good from theirs and applied it to ours.
And made ours the complete opposite. Theirs is very white and pretty and I guess modern farmhouse, and ours is barn.
Or rustic. And so we wanted to give, especially the local couples, a completely different option to go for. We didn't want to have to. We didn't want to be 100% competing with them. They're super established. I'm not going to say that we're being nice because we're not. It's a business. Yeah. But we want to give the brides in this area a choice, an option, because if you wanted a big wedding and you're from Brenham or you're from anywhere around here, you had one choice to go to, really, whether you liked it or not, or else you had to drive an hour or however far to go somewhere else. So our competitor, in terms of size, we can host up to 400 people in our reception hall. And we have one competitor in the county, same county as us, that can do the same thing.
Yeah. All the other ones that are popping up are smaller venues. They might look like ours a little bit, have the same style, but they can hold maximum 250. So we do have that, advantage where we can host up to 400, which is kind of a big thing around this area. With it being a small town, everybody invites the whole town to come to the weddings. So,
yeah. So, and again, our competitor, we don't really see it as a issue. They're very successful. They're booked out for 3 years. They're definitely not sweating us. We're not really sweating them. So again, I think we're going after two different brides with them. They're going for, I think, more Houston brides, which we love to have as many Houston brides as we can. But I think they're going for that more upscale, modern type, where we're going for dance hall, rustic type feel. So, and the niche that we're in, that 400 capacity, it's hard to build a wedding venue this big. I don't see a whole lot of people being able to come do it. We've been very lucky with our investors to be able to do it. It's not cheap. It's a huge building. This is a 12,000 square foot barn that we're sitting in. We have a 6,000 square foot chapel next to us. We have a 8,000 square foot lodge on the same property. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, if somebody wants to do it, I mean, they got to commit a whole lot of time, money, and I don't see us really having too many competitors in this niche in the near future.
Yeah, that's huge. Do you feel any economic impacts? Some people are like, oh, we're in a recession. Some people say a recession is coming. Some people say, we're in a good economy. What's your kind of take on that? Have you toured people that have been more budget conscious than maybe you did before? I know you haven't been in business for that long, but just the time that you have been, the experience you've had, any takes on that?
Oh, I mean, we can go all day about the economy if you want to, but I think that's a different podcast. But no, we have, again, we're super transparent with our pricing. And so the people that are coming out here know what they're going to be paying. And so it's really not a concern unless they're on the property. Otherwise, we're closing, 75% of our tours. We have a pretty crazy ratio in terms of closing. And I think that has to do with the fact that they know how much it's going to cost before they get out here. We're not giving tours to people that can't afford it. But the economy, we started building this thing in the middle of COVID. I think the economy's been pretty rough since we started it. So I don't think it's changed a whole lot. I think people are still spending a ridiculous amount of money on their weddings, regardless of what the economy is doing. And I don't know if you can attribute that to parents are saving more for, my dad spent a lot on my sister's wedding. I know almost everybody I know is going all out on weddings, which is great for our industry and our business. I haven't seen that slow down. And I think it's honestly trending the direction that we want it to trend. And whether people can afford to do it or not, that's the expectations that you're getting from social media and from your friends' weddings. And, if my best friend goes and has a $30,000 wedding and all my friends are there and all of our families are there, all of a sudden it's like, dang, I think I kind of got to do the same thing to keep up, just to keep face. And so that's the direction it's going. And I don't see it slowing down. Whether people can pay for it or not, it's a different question. But I think the trend is definitely let's make it as big of a party as we possibly can.
That's definitely, I'm seeing the same thing. It is, there's always a debate on, how leads are going, if things slowing down, speeding up, people getting ghosted, all that stuff. But that's cool. And that's huge, the 75%. So let's touch on that really quick and then we'll wrap for today. I'm going to ask you at the end the question I ask everyone. So I'm going to prep you with a question. What's your favorite thing and your least favorite thing about venue ownership? So I'm going to ask you that in just a second here. But okay. in terms of how you are doing that whole tour process, are you using like a CRM system like Honeybook or something like that? Or are you just organizing it with a spreadsheet? What are y'all doing in terms of how you handle the leads that you're getting from where you're?
Yeah. So, we're pretty prehistoric in our, in all of our, in that kind of stuff. We did just get on with Rocket Fuel CRM, and we have about half of our stuff inputted into there. I'm talking in the past week or so, we finally got some of that. The people that are building our website got us on to Rocket Fuel. And so they're helping incorporate like our calendar and stuff into our CRM or our CRM calendar into our website. And so, really it's just been like, we have a spreadsheet that is just kind of that me and her are both able to get in access and add to it or edit it or whatever. And so most of our communication is happening through Facebook or Instagram messages. Few of them, like our business number is connected to my cell phone. And so every once in a while I'll get a phone call or a text message. A lot of it's on social media though. But really, they're just messaging us, hey, can we set up a tour? And we live on site. So my answer is always the same. Just tell us when you want to come out. We're pretty much going to be here. And so they'll tell us the time and we'll put it in to that spreadsheet. Now we'll put it in our CRM and into a schedule. Once our website's active, we're going to probably add that as a feature to where that you can set up a tour online just by clicking on a date and the time. But right now it's just, they're just texting us or messaging us and setting it up.
Awesome. What do you know what the URL is going to be? Because I'd love to shout it out here for any of our listeners, and then of course later on we'll include it in the show notes for the podcast. You guys
it's going to be hummingbirdhilltx.com.
Hummingbirdhilltx.com. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so you guys have to go check that out. All right, final two questions. Favorite part and least favorite part about venue ownership, and super curious to kind of hear your.
Do you want a separate answer from both of us?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. Do you have an answer?
Yes.
All right.
Least favorite part would be, and it's not even really, I guess, even technically owned. I guess it is, but because we're living on this property and it's 7 day a week, we can't really get away from it. And then all the construction, like I'm just ready for the construction to be done and me running this venue. And that's my only job because I've designed it. I've done all these things and I feel like I'm doing 20 different jobs every day. And I'm ready.
And raising, and she's with me. We're raising a 2-year-old as well. So that goes into it. I'll intervene and say, we're building a house on this property. Right now, her and I are living in the honeymoon cabin, which is like 600 square feet.
With the 2-year-old and 2 dogs.
And so I think we can add that into her lease. I don't mind it. I could live in that thing forever. Her least favorite thing, we can add that in there. She wants to get out of that cabin and into our big house.
Yeah.
It's on it.
And then my favorite thing is, it has to be, we had our first bride out here taking bridal portraits. And I think even just seeing how excited she was to come out here and take her bridals, to see the couples that have come when they saw it, at basically nothing. And now they're seeing it complete, like the looks on their faces. And we had a quinceañera out here. That was our first event. To see it like executed, to see the look on their faces as it's happening, that's definitely been my favorite so far, is to see everything together and see how excited they are to, enjoy their day. So.
Yeah, we definitely needed two separate answers. Mine's a little different, which I kind of, least favorite would be unqualified leads. 100%, no doubt. That is the worst thing that I have to deal with.
Because it all goes to your phone.
I'm on the way to AT&T and set up the dang business number and put it to and I set it up on my cell phone for whatever reason. And so I've just taken charge of all of those. And so I get calls, the most unbelievable calls that you can imagine, and then messages on Facebook and Instagram, which I get to an extent. Some of them are just a little far-fetched for me, and they rub me the wrong way. That's part of it. That's part of owning a business. I don't mean to. To all of you that are thinking about going into business or thinking about opening a venue, you're going to get unqualified leads, no matter what the business is or what it is. But I will say I have a construction business too. So between the two businesses, I get a lot of. That's my least favorite part of it, but it's part of it, and I deal with it. My favorite part is definitely going to be financial freedom. Once we get to that point, we have the backing of our friend, and he lets us live out here and do this every day. We wake up, we have a 55-acre property that we get to wake up to, that we get to raise our kid on. I wouldn't say we're financially free yet because we're still using the bank's money and our investors' money to do it. But just the freedom that we have to wake up every day and this be what we do for a living is second to none, no doubt. We couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Well, you've created and you're creating a economic machine that you'll be able to, totally self-sustain off of that and do something you love. And like you said, it's not a bad gig, having some land, raising your son, correct?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, Brandon, Kayla, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate y'all coming on and sharing a little bit about Hummingbird Hill and just kind of like how you've taken this from very quickly from, inception to reality here. And excited to track with you guys and see how everything goes. What's the best way? If you're not going to call your phone, Brandon, what's the best way to connect with you guys if you want to come out for a tour, or even just maybe someone wants to pick your brain on the process that you guys went through?
You can call me. Just don't ask me to do your wedding for $150 or something weird. No, I mean, calling is good.
Social media.
So Facebook, we get most of our leads are through Facebook. That's how most of our communication stuff. You message us on Facebook, it goes to both of our phones and we respond immediately.
I have a bonus question that just popped into my head. You said Facebook, and I want to ask this because I feel like it could be useful for someone out there. Are there any resources that you use in the process of going from, inception, idea, concept phase to reality? Are there any resources, podcasts, coaches, consultants, books, anything like that kind of helped you guys get to where you're at now?
No, honestly, just, real life experiences. That's been the gist. We've had a bunch of venue coaches and stuff reach out to us, but we didn't do any of that. We probably should have with some of our bumps along the road. We probably could have avoided them, but no, we learned from the streets and and kept it there. That's
the only thing I can think of that I think I used in research, I guess you would say, is I looked through Pinterest and all social media at like what was trending on styles and stuff like that and things that people want. So like we got our Highland cows because it sets us apart, but they're on our property. They're perfectly fine out here. They love it out here, and people can come take pictures. And if you walk through Hobby Lobby, you see 18 different pictures of those Highland cows. And so it attracts people here. And that just took a little bit of, just looking into what people are interested in based on what, you see on social media, Pinterest, Instagram, all of that. That's the only thing
and I guess the way I described it was a little simple, but that market research would be the best way for me to describe what we did. We were out there, we were at other venues constantly. We were asking questions to venue owners when we were there, whether we were being obvious about our future plans or not. Just trying to get a feel for how people ran things, how people had built things, how people operated, and then from her, me and her work on totally different wavelengths as far as she sees things from a creative standpoint, not whatever the opposite of that is.
But that's why this works, because we kind of balance each other out.
But yeah, so when we were at other venues, I was looking at operational stuff, she was looking at designs, and so that's what we did. We went out, we saw, whether it's through Pinterest or in person at other venues, from us planning or doing flowers there. That's where our research came from.
That's great advice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm totally hearing that structure, a little bit of structure, a little bit of design, right? A lot of both of those. Brandon, Kaylin, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful to chat with you both today, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having us.